Hi, I'm Matt with Hafner Vineyard. I do all the shipping here as well as deliveries, so if my face looks familiar, it's because I've probably been to your house. Uh, Prior to working here at Hafner Vineyard, I worked in restaurants for a number of years, about 20 years, Barn Diva, Diabla, so if you've seen me there, maybe. But today we just wanted to share with you a couple of tips on opening a different assortment of wine bottles, from sparkling wines to older vintages, even our newer vintages. So the first bottle we're going to open today is our current release of Chardonnay. It's the 2021. Pretty straightforward. It's the most straightforward out of any openings. But some people like to cut from the top. Some people like to cut from the bottom. That's what I prefer. So first step is get your wine key, and we're going to go ahead and cut the foil. I like to let the gravity of the bottle kind of help me. So this is how I would take the foil off at home. If you're in a nice restaurant or if you're opening to show people the label, you would typically keep the label facing and not spin the bottle. But easy, we're at home, make it casual. I just spin the bottle, use the gravity of the... So next we're gonna dive into the cork here. So we get our corkscrew, pretty traditional. And the main thing for me is I like to kind of pre-cock my wrist, and then I put it right in the center. And now I get a good turn on there. And I don't want to go too far because then I'm going to get bend in the cork. So what I like to do is get it to the second level there. And once I pull it up just a little bit, then I'll go all the way back in. And the idea is to get the cork to come out as straight as possible and not have any bend on it. When you start to bend, you risk the breakage. Not as common in a 2021, but if you get into older vintages, that's when you're going to start to break the corks. So in this instance, we actually used a serrated blade on here with the corkscrew. Leaves a little bit of a rough cut, so my preference would probably be non-serrated. It'll give you a more smooth finish, but nonetheless, we got the bottle open. So next we're going to open up our 2006 Cabernet. It's got 17 years of age on it, so the cork is going to have lost a little bit of integrity, but I'm still confident that we can pull it out with success. I'm going to use a different foil cutter this time, pretty traditional, but sometimes leaves you just a little bit cleaner of a cut. So after about 10 years, I would typically recommend using an Osso. This will keep the cork intact much better than our traditional wine key would. So let's get to it. It has two different sides. You're gonna have a longer side and a shorter side. You're just gonna wanna try and shimmy that longer side in there first. Once you get it in there a little bit, we'll level it out. And just kind of twisting as we bring it up. Back and forth to get it down as far as you can. And there we have a 17-year-old cork, perfectly intact. It's interesting because in the restaurant we open all different vintages of wines from different producers from all over the world. We'd find wines that have 15 to 20-year-old corks that could be pulled with the corkscrew perfectly intact, and we'd also find some that were 7 or 8 years old that actually needed an Osso, and there's definitely a lot of consistencies between each producer and each cork. So with the holidays coming, we're gonna have a lot more larger formats of wines being opened at parties and celebrations. We have magnums, double magnums. The process for opening these bottles is typically just the same. You still want to use an Osso for the older vintages. For the younger vintages, you can still use a traditional wine key. So this is our double magnum. So this would require a traditional wine key or a traditional corkscrew for that matter, as opposed to an Osso. It has a much bigger cork. Next, we're going to open our first release of Blanc de Blanc, the 2020. So in practice of opening a bottle of sparkling, whether it be champagne, Blanc de Blanc, or even a Prosecco, it's all the same. The first thing you want to do is take off the foil. They typically provide you with a little tab right here on the side. Sometimes it can be a little bit tough to get to, especially if you don't have fingernails. I'll use a wine key and just break it off. And then we'll peel it all the way around. And then we're left with our cage and our cork. You can also, if you want to keep the elegance of the bottle, you can always cut the foil prior to taking it off, and then you'll have a cleaner line. But again, we're at home, so no big deal. Next, you're going to want to keep your thumb on top of the cork whenever we undo the cage. In a restaurant as well, you might use a wine towel or something to put over it just in case there's gushing and we don't want anybody to get wet or make a mess. But in this case, we're just going to use our thumb, undo the cage, loosen it up. I'm going to remove the cork with the cage on. Some people like to take it off, but I like to do this for safety. And now we're just going to give it a little twist back and forth, and we're basically just pushing against the pressure that's coming out of the bottle. And what you want to hear is just a little. I hope this has been helpful. There's lots of different ways to open wines. These are just a few tips on how I might do it. I hope you enjoy your holiday season, and I hope this has been helpful for you.